Unemployed and Afraid acknowledges the traditional owners of the land we have recorded this episode on and of the land where you, the listener, are tuning in from. We would like to pay our respects to elders past, present, and extend our respect to any First Nations, Aboriginal, and Torres Strait Islander people joining us today, acknowledging that this always was and always will be Aboriginal land. Welcome to Unemployed and Afraid, a podcast that explores the glorious mess of building your own business with the people doing it. I'm your host and fellow business builder, Kim Curtin. Thank you for being here. Let's get into some good, honest, small business chat. Happy whatever day of the week you're listening to this podcast, listener, because they're all good days, and it truly is a gift to have you here and to share with you the business building stories of the brave humans out there giving it a crack and sharing their learnings. Hearing the stories of others doing their thing in business at all stages is just so important as a business owner, which is obviously why this podcast exists, as it's also kind of true that we often hear about the big wins, the biggest of wins, the stories of founders and companies that sold for $100 million or brought in 7 figures in 5 seconds and the challenges that came with it, et cetera, et cetera. But those giant wins are just one very small part of this world. They're not always the goal or even the measure of success. There are countless challenging moments along the way and countless incredible businesses, people, and wins worth celebrating. You just have to hold on to the inspiration to get started and keep going and see where it takes you. When I learned about today's guests, the mother and daughter duo behind Bixby Co, it came with a little story. You see, Annie, the daughter in the duo, had been listening to this very podcast while considering her next step. She was listening to the stories of business builders and simply thought, why aren't I doing that? And here we are. If you have a desire to start your own thing, an idea, a motivation to grow it to whatever level you want, that really is all you need to take the first step. And can I just say, super humbling experience to have heard that. I am just so chuffed. And if you are listening today and thinking, should I give something a go? Please do take this as your sign to just take one step forward. That is what we're here for, to encourage you, get you going, keep you going if you're on the journey, and keep you growing to hit whatever goal you have on your goal list. Oh, I just have so many feels for this. All right, on to today's episode. In the sharing of the Bixby Co jewellery business at this point in time, we chat about tapping into the energy that eggs you on in business so you can just keep pushing forward, allowing yourself to make some mistakes in order to get started, the importance of in-person customer feedback, and just why brand awareness is so very important in this space, what failing fast looks like in practice, teaching yourself the skills you do need to get that start going, and then having the confidence to just refine as you grow, and all of the little moments of magic that add up over time to some incredible successes. These two and their gorgeous jewelry are a lot of fun. So let's get into the chat. I'm here today with two incredible humans, mother and daughter duo, Claire Thomas and Annie Haynes, who are co-founders of the gorgeous jewelry brand Bixby Co. It's a brand inspired by the beautifully put together women who express their femininity through vibrant clothes and accessories, and is a celebration of the pair's love of colour. The Bixby Co pieces are fun and playful, but in an understated and elegant way. In short, they're wearable sunshine. They create their pieces through processes that reuse and recycle wherever possible, sourcing ethically to minimise the effects on the planet by mass-produced accessories, and instead choosing to source recycled glass, gems, components, as well as recycled gold, silver, and brass, with $1 from every sale going to female-focused causes as part of I Equals Change. They've been featured on Pop Sugar, Elle, Vogue, InStyle, Harper's Bazaar, and on the bodies of many a fashionable human, including a recent collaboration with the IG, TikTok, and all-round famous Pottery Boy, who we actually must get on their show very soon. I have been so looking forward to connecting with these wonderful people and sharing their story. Claire and Annie, welcome to Unemployed and Afraid.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, it's so wonderful to have you both here, mother and daughter. What a glorious duo to be in business together. I am just so excited to hear this. I'm going to start with you, Annie. I would love to know, how would you describe your mum, Claire?
What a way to start.
Yeah, straight off.
She is vibrant, opinionated, very sort of sparky and amazing sense of humor. Gosh, I could go on and on. I don't even know where to stop. She's just like one in a million. She's definitely not like anyone else. Very independent and fiery.
What a brilliant combination. Claire, I'd love to ask you the same question. How would you describe your daughter, Annie?
She's got a lot of similarities to me in the sense that she's got a great sense of humor. We laugh all the time. Yeah, we're silly together. She's also, I've discovered new things about her since we've been doing this that I hadn't realized, that she's a lot more sensible than me. I'm very much more like this, and she's very much more talking me off the ledge and keeping things on track, very much more focused. She's always happy. She's loving and caring.
Oh, this is great. We should do this.
I know. We should do this. Yeah.
Just boost each other up for the day.
Absolutely. We don't often think about it, do we? Just those people we spend so much time with.
Yeah.
Claire, I want to hang out with you for a second so I can get both of your glorious backstories. And Claire, I would love to know, before Bixby Co was a real and living and beautiful breathing business, who were you?
I worked mostly throughout my life in psychology, so different areas really. I worked for the government here in a capacity as a rehab consultant. So they were called CRS, the Commonwealth Rehab Service, who was set up to help men when they came back after the war to reassimilate into society and get jobs based on whatever disabilities they may have had. So I worked for them for quite a long time. Did couples counselling. Oh, Lord, that's some scary stuff. And then one-on-one counselling, careers stuff. I worked a bit for the police in Canberra. So, yeah, that I liked about psychology was that it very much was, it's such a broad-based discipline that you can use across things. And I travelled a lot, so I never really became professional in a sense in any one particular area. Like many psychologists, they stick to a niche and then they climb the ladder, but I've never really been very good at ladder climbing or staying in one place for very long, so I've ducked and dived and gone across from place to place, but it was fun most of the time.
That sounds like a really interesting career. I've got a deep fascination for people and the industry of psychology. Just I imagine it would be almost hard not to want to jump around into different areas.
Yeah, humans are just endlessly fascinating. Just when I think I've heard everything, I'll hear or read something else, and I'm just like, why? That's the endless question. Why do humans do what they do and think what they think? It's just fascinating.
Oh, I can absolutely imagine. Annie, how about you? Before Bixby Co, who were you?
Mine's been much less exciting on the career front. I've just done what it takes to make money, normally to travel, but it's always nice having something where you're your own boss, especially if it means you can adjust your own life and just do things according to your schedule rather than somebody else's, and then do things that help you work towards what you want to do rather than what that other person wants to achieve. Feels much nicer. So career-wise, nothing overly exciting, but
hospitality,
that's all the sort of easy things that you roll into just to get by and do something. But travel was definitely my goal at the end of each little chapter of things.
Make money to go somewhere.
Yeah.
You've done some creative stuff. You did a fashion thing down in Melbourne.
Yeah. It's also jumping around trying to figure out what thing is going to be the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can relate to that wholeheartedly. I'm not sure I'll ever find the thing. I think it'll always be many a thing, but it's a great way to approach. I'd love to know, I guess, with the business idea, its seeds of beginning, where it started to come about for you. What was that process like?
It was a little combination of things, I guess. We'd spent all of COVID separated and quite a bit of like chunks in time before that. So we were really keen to do something together. And we're just trying to figure out what that thing would be. We were rummaging through Mum's jewellery box, as you do as a little girl, and looking at all the like old heirlooms that she's got and things that have been bought over life, and thought it would be so nice to do something with a bit more of a modern twist. I had some stuff from Dad's side that would be nice to make modern, and stuff from Mum's side. And then with Mum going off to India, it just sparked that side of it.
The women over there are just very colourful, very vibrant, very well dressed, even in the poorest of areas. They'll dress in the most colourful, vibrant silk saris and wear all their family's gold just to do the most, what we think is the most menial task. And you look around in Western societies and we very much underdress, I think, for things. It's an active wear generation. Not that's a bad thing necessarily to dress for comfort, but sometimes you just think, okay, if that's how people are going to dress on a day-to-day basis, then at least jazz it up with some funky hair, funky accessories, a bit more colour than just plain.
Yeah.
That's so true, isn't it? I rarely get myself out of active wear. It's the thing of working from home and only ever being on camera from like the chest up is always really handy as well. It's very true that we often don't express ourselves in that way. And I think that self-expression through jewelry is really interesting. Was there something that brought you to India in the first place?
I went for my psych work, so it wasn't really for any other purpose than to travel and see the place, but also to do some work there. And I was nervous to go because I thought I don't know, I get very easily overwhelmed with noise, with too much activity, too many people. And of all the places in the world to go to avoid it, that's not the place. And I actually completely loved it. It's just insane on every level. And for a person who loves people, the people there are amazing. I just found it very, very moving, very humbling, very vibrant and colourful in every single way. And I thought, if we can just bring a little bit of that, obviously their jewellery is very ornate and it doesn't really fit with the way people live here. But to just bring bits of colour into things just seemed like and some size. Everyone's into sort of little itty bitty dainty bits and bobs, which I wouldn't even bother putting on in when I woke up in the day. I just can't. If you can't see it, I can't see the point of it. So I'm very much chunky and colourful, whilst not being a completely crazy sort of flower lady or anything. So yeah, I think it was more just little pops of colour and just a little bit more statement stuff.
So was there a moment where you looked at each other and said, let's do it? Let's go into business. And if so, what was that like?
My husband and I were away for the whole of COVID. We got back in at the end. It was Christmas Day.
Yeah, it was Christmas Day. And we had our Love Actually moment, which I was so excited. I'm so much more cheesy than Mum is.
She's a cheesy, sentimental head. I forgot to put that in earlier on. So sentimental.
That's our tradition, is to watch Love Actually, whether together or apart So we got the airport Christmas Love Actually moment, which was super cute.
Yeah, that was December 2021.
Yeah, so it was all still a little bit strange.
Yeah. So I think, and we were staying with Annie and her beloved in their little tiny flat. And yeah, I suppose I'd come back here after a few years away and was going to have to get a job and do the usual things. And what were you doing at the time?
I'd left the last job that I had and was a bit like, I don't know what I want to do. So I guess that kind of helped push into let's do something together rather than for other people.
And we're very impetuous anyway. We're very impulsive people. And together we're worse. We egg each other on something shocking. So yeah, it didn't take very long. I think we thought about it in the February and we were off and running within about a month.
Yeah. I think you need a little bit of that energy sometimes, don't you? I think I feel that being a solopreneur, quite often I have this like wild idea and then I can logically talk myself out of it. But to have somebody else who's on board with wild ideas, you can razz you up a little bit just to take a step in that way. I think it'd be really helpful.
Yeah. Otherwise you get the fear and potentially not do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's true for sure.
I've had lots of mad ideas in the course of my life and I generally go, after a while I think, that's not a good idea. But we've kept each other going in probably bits where we would have ordinarily just given up and thought, nah, this is too hard and too much work and
it's taking too long. Yeah, this bit's difficult. I don't know how to do this bit.
She's not as impatient as I am. I'm so impatient. And sometimes she'll have to say, meme. She calls me meme instead of a meme. Other brands have taken 4 years to get to this stage that we've taken a year to get to. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. I want it now.
I feel that. I feel that. Take me through some of those early steps then. So February 2021, like you're like, I'm going to go for this. What were some of the first steps? Because it does, even thinking about it from an outside perspective, feel like, wow, there must be a lot of overwhelming, like mini steps on the way to going from idea to real.
Yeah, we
There
didn't
are.
really get very overwhelmed. I think we just
No.
took it one thing at a time.
I love a list personally. I'm an exciting person, but in the body of a nerd. So I actually love a list. So yeah, get an ABN and open a bank account and blah, 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 blah. So you tick off all those things.
I think figuring out the name was the first one,
Yeah,
which wasn't as
name.
easy as I thought it was going to be.
No.
Because Bixby Co doesn't even really mean anything.
No.
We were just on the name registry going through every single thing, and everything's taken.
Everything we thought of.
So we were
was
just
taken.
like, okay, we're going to have to have just words now. So
Yeah.
we ended up figuring that out, and then it was creating the socials for it, and then it's,
Branding, colours.
branding and
Obviously finding the components and
the
suppliers and
materials
materials. That was,
then creating
But
a
we're
website.
fast. Like Annie talked to a friend about creating a website, and the friend said, "Oh no, it'll be a while, a few weeks." And Annie's, "Yeah, that's nice." And then she did it in a day. She just Googled how to do it and then did it, and we had a website within a couple of days.
Yeah, once we know what the task is, we're good at getting
we
it
just
done.
do it.
What platform did you end up using for your website?
Or the wrong one to start with.
Yeah.
We just did a Wix, I think. Or
No, we started with Square. And then everyone was like, "Oh, you got to do Shopify, like over and over." So we ended up swapping over,
just before Christmas, which caused all sorts of palaver.
Yeah, that wasn't the best move.
No, that was painful times.
So would recommend Shopify.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Just straight off the bat, if you're going to do any e-commerce, just go with Shopify.
Yeah.
It just makes at the beginning we were like, this isn't any different, but as you start to grow, you see all of the things that they can do and add-ons that they have that you think, oh, now we realize why.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Tell me about the process of the pieces, because as a creative soul, I get very interested in this process of creating what they look like and getting the real things and being able to feel them and be tactile with them. How did that experience go for you, getting your first product in your hands?
Ooh,
it was fun, wasn't it?
It was fun. That's definitely one of the best bits, honestly.
Yeah, drawing it and trying to find the right size and working out the links, working out, what little components you're going to have. These ones of the rainbow necklaces are very similar to a necklace that Annie's granny had. Of course, older pieces tend to be in solid gold with proper gemstones, and we want it to be accessible. So then you want to find out, well, which do you want? Gold plate, vermeil, gold fill. There are different types, and you want them to last as long as possible. So there's a lot that goes into it. And then designing something that can also be made fairly easily and to scale if necessary. And there's sometimes the things that we thought would sell epically well didn't necessarily, and things that I like, these earrings that Annie's got, all our carnival hoops with all the little coloured stones in, I just thought, they're okay, but they're like by a million miles our bestseller.
Yeah, it's definitely been learning all throughout. It's funny, it's nice seeing what people like and what people are drawn towards, because then you go, okay, people like this, or they're missing this in their lives, so let's try and do a few more things like that. And we've had so much great customer feedback, which has helped with moving things forward and changing things. And
I obviously have the privilege of chatting with a number of business owners, and this is something that comes through as a theme so often, which is your business starts to teach you what it is as long as you just get started, and you have this vision of, it's going to be this, and it's planned out, and you've got that energy behind everything you do and the tone and the products or whatever it is. And then something happens and you're like, oh, no, it's not that at all. It's actually and then you just follow the thread and reproduce accordingly based on what your customers tell you, what your business tells you.
We learned a lot from that.
Yeah. We did the serious mess up of getting a shop before we did markets. And quite honestly, markets are an immediate feedback. So that's what we should have done first, because that is immediate feedback.
From people from all over, because markets is such a traveling thing to do. You're from a different country, you go to the market and see what they have in their country and what they sell, and So it's from people from all over the world giving you feedback instantly. And even if they're like, oh, that's pretty, and oh, that's pretty.
Yeah, even if they don't buy, you
Gives
still
you the
get
intel.
feedback of what attracts people's eyes and what they like the look of.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
That's so interesting. I never thought of it in that context that, yes, just if you've got a product-based offering to get it into a market environment for that purpose of market research. That's a really, really interesting point. Tell me a little about this store. So going into brick and mortar, that feels like a gigantic mountain. Talk me through that experience.
That could have been a further down the track venture, but
yeah,
we're very gung-ho.
Yeah.
We just, really egged each other on for completely the wrong space and didn't do any research into the location.
No.
We literally went to one space and we're like, yeah, let's get it. And it was just like front window. There was only like windows along the side where you'd walk up this alleyway. And you need, for something so visual, you need a huge shop front, like windows at the front, getting light in and people walking past and it catching your eye, especially if you're not known. Like people will come to you wherever you are if you're a really well-known brand, but for getting the brand awareness up, it was a terrible choice.
Yeah, it was a disastrous couple of months of disastrousness, which cost an awful lot of money to get out of. Luckily, as impetuous as we are to get into things, we also don't fart around when we realise that things are not going to work out no matter what. The agent tried to convince us that it was just time, that it would get better. We knew it wouldn't. It just wasn't going to. So we bailed and cost a lot of money, but I'm glad we bailed when we bailed, because once you shut a door on something that is not going to work, then you open the doors to the things that do work. Started markets immediately, and immediately we were making money. So, because also when you have a store that isn't working, then you think it's your products. You think other people in this place seem to make enough money, otherwise there would be no stores here at all. So it must be us and it must be our products. But we knew immediately, we started making money and getting to know people immediately at markets. So there are people that do markets that do them for years and sell the same products for years and make no money week after week. And we're just like, when are you going to get the message? If you can't make money in a market with your product, it's your product. But we had luckily the opposite kind of experience where it's just grown and girls come back regularly.
And we get such nice feedback, like girls coming wearing fully decked out in Bixby, being, what have you got that's new? Or knowing everything that we've got out. And that's or being like, oh, I've got this for myself and I want to get it for my mum or for my sister or whatever. And it's such nice instant gratification and feedback when people are so happy or come and show off that they're wearing it. That's my favorite bit for sure.
Being able to pull the pin on something that isn't working, I think, is a skill set all on its own. Being able to recognize it and make a change. I think so many of us get into systems, processes, routines, and whether it's some sort of cognitive bias that you're just like, no, like this is however it is that I'm going to keep doing this same thing and hope something, what is it? Isn't that the definition of insanity? Keep doing the same thing and hope for a different outcome?
Different result. Yeah, I know. People are definitely not my style to do that. I just, cut it and move on quickly. Although if you do that in business completely, then I've made this mistake in the past too, where I've started things and if it doesn't work quickly enough, then I get fed up, I cut it and I move on to the next thing. And if I'd stuck with it, then it would have been successful at some point. So it's a balance, knowing the difference between cutting a mistake, but not cutting an idea that really just needed time. It is a balance, isn't it?
Yeah, that's so funny. I often think about the fact that when it was 2014 and Instagram was like brand new, I started an Instagram under my sort of digital persona of Good Side of the Bed. And I was doing plant-based recipe sharing and it was so basic. I certainly didn't have anything fancy, but I made good food and I put photos out. It was early doors in all this area. And then I got distracted with something else. I got distracted with corporate ladder climbing and I let it go. And I think, holy shit, the organic growth of Instagram at that time for food would have been just phenomenal if I had stuck with it for a couple of years. That audience would have been there to support me in so many other endeavors. And I hear you, but you just sometimes you just need to follow the path and just trust that it will take you somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It is a tricky one, isn't it? I could fill a diary with stuff like that. That's the trouble.
Sounds like there might be a book in there somewhere. So, where did you start to feel some momentum in the e-com space? Take me through that experience.
Well, we're still very much learning
Yeah.
and growing in that space. Markets is like definitely
much
where we
easier.
get our best.
Immediate feedback,
Yeah.
immediate sales, immediate
Yeah,
revenue gratification, if you like.
because e-com's so
It is
hard.
so
It's
much harder than people think. I think a lot of people think they'll throw up an e-commerce shop, put a few bits and bobs on. I've had a friend say, "Oh, I'm in Bali. I think I'll just buy a load of Balinese and set up a shop, and Bob's your uncle." And I would want to go, "Oh my God, you
So
have
much
no
that
idea
goes
how
into
much is what's involved." It's just so not that simple. Growing
Yeah.
an Instagram following, growing a TikTok following, just, the meta thing, the constant organic postings, but not too much, the influencer stuff. Man, it's a full-time job.
I am nodding furiously because I couldn't agree more. It just the sheer act of learning what should or shouldn't be done on every social platform and then actually producing the content, thinking the content, learning how to edit the content. It's one of the things that hold me back most certainly in business. I think a lot of business owners experience is the pressure of learning all of that and then actually doing all of the work. Have you had anyone to help you through that stage? Have you ever reached out to different skill sets to help build on your own?
Yeah, we had a girl helping us with influencer outreach for a chapter. So that's given us some really good connections and built a really nice little influencer community of girls that we now still reach out to and work with, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Get cute content because UGC, user generated content is such a thing now, especially on TikTok and everything. Girls want to see it on other girls that are not necessarily a beautiful model. They just want to see it on someone who looks like them or just see it on a person.
Yeah.
So that was our first help.
Yeah.
And we're now working with an ad agency who's helping us with meta ads because originally I taught myself how to do it, probably not very well. And an expert would look at it and be like, that was all completely wrong. But the things you can learn on YouTube, like, why not give it a crack first so you at least then know what goes into it when someone else is helping you with it.
I've made some quite nice kind of girl friends through contacting them, like other girl entrepreneurs who are.
Well, there's so many now, which is so great. And it's so easy to chat to them on socials and ask for advice on. I asked one girl who's amazing in the space that she's in what to do about the collaboration that was coming up at the time with Pottery Boy, just like how that all works, because I had no idea, because he reached out to us and was like, would you guys be keen on a collaboration? And I was like, absolutely, but I have no idea what that entails. So being able to reach out to other people in your space is so helpful.
Not in the same industry necessarily,
but in the same space of
e-commerce,
same age bracket
Same
and
age
stuff,
bracket.
but just that further bit along or a different product that's really successful. It's nice getting that, building that community.
What have been some of the benefits and the challenges of creating this business together as a family?
We're actually a really good little team, funnily enough. We sort of balance each other out in what each other's good at or not good at and have assigned tasks based on that.
Yeah, I can't do the whole social media thing. It's just, ugh. Plus my unaesthetic approach to life tends to drive Annie round a twist. She likes it to all look a certain way, and I would just be ramming everything up there willy-nilly. So I leave all that to her. We collaborate obviously on our pieces and what they're going to be and look like, and luckily we have similar taste in many ways, which is good. So we don't argue too much about what's going to be on. Sometimes I do things and she says, no, that's old lady-ish. That's what grandma would wear. All right, that one's out the window then. But I think we don't take offense at what the other says because we've constantly had a bantery relationship anyway. So yeah, we're quite blunt.
Honest.
Yeah, we're very blunt with each other in every other area of life. So that's been able to spill over into this and not cause any issues. And yeah, I'll do all the accounts and the back end kind of stuff. trying to do SEO, which is again a constant battle. And Annie's not interested in any of that malarkey. She's learning to take photos, so she's doing the product photos.
Yeah, there's so much that we do ourselves. So it's that thing of being a boss is learning how to do every single little thing, like doing all the socials and getting all the product shots and organizing the shoots. And there's so many things that go into it.
Yeah.
It's just also keeping each other accountable.
That's been good for me because I do tend to get very distracted and I'm bored with this now. Whereas I want this to work for Annie more than I guess I want it to work for myself in a sense. So that keeps me on track to working to make it a success. She's put so much time and energy and creativity into it. And likewise for her, she knows I've thrown loads of money at it, so she wants it to work.
It sounds like a good working relationship, particularly around things like accounts and finance, and then separating that from socials and things. I think that seems like a smart way to do it. I'd love to know from each of you what you've learned about yourselves through this process.
Yeah, I think like I said earlier, I've learned that Annie is weirdly, I thought I was going to be the older, sensible, calm one that would keep things on track. And it's not the case at all. I'm a complete basket case of craziness. And I need her really to keep me on track from getting distracted or getting bored or getting too impatient so yeah, she's very much more focused than I am and that I thought she was. So I've learned a bit really about both of us. And through this, I've been able to see all of the very many cock-ups I've made in the past, which were self-inflicted cock-ups, which I really should have addressed a long time. I'm 55 years old. These are things I should have addressed in a bare minimum 20 years ago, but just chose not to. And I think I could blame having bipolar on that. I was aware of having that by the time I was about 35. So I should have concentrated on fixing that, for want of a better word. But I quite liked being erratic and crazy, and I thought it was cute. But what's cute is at 35 is certainly not cute at 55, and you risk ending up living under a bridge in a cardboard box if you don't focus. Yeah, I'm glad in many ways to have discovered that she's not like that.
That makes a lot of sense. And we think businesses and being in business is all about being your own boss, making money, making something, that's sustainable for you, your family for years. But often it's more of a personal reflection of ourselves through part of it. You're able to see a part of yourself that you wouldn't have been able to before.
I guess just that you can do anything that you put your mind to, as cheesy as that is. If you can learn so many things becoming a business owner and do so many things that you didn't think that you could do. And it's so interesting learning so many things. I guess it's just that you can do anything.
Yeah. There are resources out there to learn how to do all sorts of things for yourself.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like now if we had to get other jobs, we would have resumes as long as your arm, because we've learned all these new skills that we didn't have before. And I was thinking about it the other day. I said, oh God, we could set up our own kind of business consulting agency for other people to start businesses, because we know all of those initial steps, all of the boring bureaucratic stuff, all of the social media stuff, all of the setting up a website stuff. It's a lot of stuff.
You learn to be a
jack of all trades. Yeah. Not really a master of anything specific, which is why I think it's good to learn as much as you can about all the different areas, but then you have to reach a point where you accept that either you hate doing some things or some things are just too bloody difficult, like the whole Meta, Instagram, Facebook advertising thing. All the data behind it, the algorithms behind it, it's just not either of interest to us or it's too bloody difficult. It's just honestly better to pay someone else who knows what they're doing to direct your funds in the best possible way.
I think that's a really interesting point that you raised, Annie, that often we think we should know a lot of this stuff before going into a business. And that can be a real barrier to a lot of people getting started is, I don't know what I don't know in a lot of those aspects. But you never stop learning once you start this process. It's like you turn one rock over and then you're like, oh shit, I have to learn all this now. Okay, we'll just keep going and then we'll just figure it out and just figure it out. So I think it's a very important point you raise, that it's perfectly fine to go into something and just give it a crack and figure out what you need to learn once you get in there.
Yeah, because otherwise you get too much of the fear.
And we hate that little sneaky bugger, don't we?
Yeah.
Tell me about what has been your most exciting moment so far with Bixby Co.
There's been a couple.
There's been a couple.
Vogue
Getting into Vogue.
was up there. That was super exciting.
It was exciting.
Because Vogue is just one of those things that, like,
Vogue.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Devil Wears Prada.
I know. Yeah.
All those things. So that was really exciting.
Yeah.
Just seeing girls coming back and wearing the pieces is really exciting.
It is.
That feels super nice.
The first really good professional photo shoot that we got back all the beautiful pictures of when we'd struggled to get. Jewellery is really difficult to photograph. So despite our best efforts of trying a couple of other photographers doing stuff ourselves,
Did a lot of
couldn't
shoots
get it
ourselves.
right. And then Sarah
Fountain, it's
she's
amazing.
Wow, she just took some and she sent them all and we were like, how are we supposed to choose from these? They're all amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was great.
There's just like lots of little moments, hasn't there, that have built up one by one. Your biggest online order, and it's just all the little things that like add to it that you just get excited for in the moment.
Yeah, waking up in the morning and seeing your first lot of overnight orders. So I'm waiting to get into Sunday Life magazine. That's going to be my dying of happiness. On that first page, the need, want, buy, or whatever it is. Yeah, I want to be in that bit. I will die of happiness, and that'll be that then.
You've reached your happy goal.
I'll reach my happy goal.
Oh, that is brilliant. You have to have those pinnacles on the wall to work towards. I know I have them as well. And Vogue is such an exciting one. How did that come about?
Admittedly, we have a fabulous PR girl who helped us out on that front with all of her lovely contacts. So she gave us a list of people to send some things to, and she wrote us a nice bio. And but I actually didn't expect her to be as successful at getting us into things as she was, because you do think it's Vogue and Elle and Harper's Bazaar, they must get inundated with products, with PR releases, with all sorts of other things.
It's that imposter syndrome thing where you're like,
I think, but they're real
we're
brands.
Just small. Yeah.
So that was really exciting. It's validation in a sense that whilst we're not the same size as a lot of the brands that appear in these publications, we're obviously doing something right and we're going in the right direction.
And there is a lot to be said, like you said, for finding someone who has just that expertise there to go, actually, this is how the process will go and I'll go and do this. And then just trying. You literally never know. Like I think PR is such a big thing for so many small businesses, especially where I want to be in those. How do I get from here to there? But the people on the other side of those publications, I guess they are looking for content. They are looking to find things. They don't necessarily have the time to go and find you. What do you ever have to lose by putting yourself out there, particularly if you can find someone who makes that their sole vision? How do I put these incredible people in this brand in front of this other incredible brand and bridging that gap? It's all about just giving it a try.
Yeah,
she's very good, Georgia.
She's amazing.
Yeah, she's a good gal.
Yeah.
She's been good for us. Georgia Smale, bit of a plug there.
I've had some comms with her and I can attest she seems like a very wonderful human. So I love that. Where do you hope to see your brand grow to with Sunday Life? That's happening. Where else do you like to see your brand grow to?
Yeah, world domination.
So many things. We just really want to grow our online presence in the online space. Is the goal at the moment. We'd love to do a bit of wholesaling and get into some cute boutiques. And so that's the next sort of smaller step. But there's so many things. You've spoken about a pop-up in the UK potentially.
Pop-up in London or something just for fun.
It's just opportunities are endless, really.
Yeah. Once we've established here, then I think the UK would be a good market for us because there's nothing quite like our stuff from what I can see. Obviously, there are other jewellery brands, but it's not quite such a thing over there as it is over here. There are a lot here, aren't there? Yeah, that would be fun. Yeah,
expanding.
Expanding. expanding, just general expansion.
Yes.
That sounds incredibly exciting. The question I always like to end every one of my chats with in this small business community, it's all about growing together, about lifting each other up. And as you said, reaching out, having people reach out to you for collaboration, reaching back out to people to say, how do I do this collaboration? Everything always comes back to community and backing each other and lifting that tide all together. So my final question is, how can the listener and I support you both to be successful in this next stage?
Buy all our pieces. Just have a look through the website and look at
even
items
listening
and
and hearing about us and our story is helpful.
Yeah.
It's getting yourself out there and
follow us on Instagram. Yeah, that's always good. Bixby Co on Instagram
and TikTok if you're that way inclined.
We're at Bondi Beach on a Sunday and Paddington in Sydney on a Saturday. Sometimes Kirribilli on the north side of Sydney, but that one's not as regular.
Yeah.
So come and say hi and try anything on. That's fun. We'd like to see people who have heard about us and just want to say hello.
Amazing. I'm going to make sure to have the links to your website, your Instagram, your TikTok. Have you made the foray into Threads yet? Have you gone down that path?
No, I just don't quite get it just yet. But maybe when I get it, I don't know. We'll see.
Apparently, if you get on Threads and you don't like it, in order to get off, you also have to delete your Instagram.
You just have to stop posting on it.
I suppose so.
Just let it go to sleep.
Who's got time to do all of them? Yeah.
Absolutely fair enough. We all have so much to do, but I will make sure to have all of your links in the show notes that the listener can go follow you, support you, share, buy. I would love to have been able to come down and visit you. The Bondi markets used to be my locals, so I'm going to make sure next time I'm there, I'm going to be around to say hello. It has just been a wonderful opportunity to speak to you both today and hear about your journey. It's so exciting to see where you've grown already and where you're going to continue to grow. So thank you so much for sharing your experience with me today.
Thanks for having us.
One quick thing, if you're hearing this, you've listened all the way through. Hopefully that means you really like this podcast because it's pretty generous to give up 40 odd minutes of your time for it. If that is the case, please leave the show a star rating and a review. It helps me reach so many more people who might also listen all the way through and get some benefit and some support out of it. Not to mention, it puts a real spring in my step to read them. Thank you for listening to Unemployed and Afraid, the podcast for small business builders with your host, me, Kim Curtin. If you love it, you can say thanks with a star rating and a review. And of course, join the community on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Find us at Unemployed and Afraid wherever you're hanging out, and I'll see you there.